Well guys, I managed to get this second PV array online today. It's been a project that's been a long time in the making. I've had the materials for quite a while. In fact, I've had the panels for about a year, and I've had the mount for almost a year, but just finding the time to get it all put in. But I did, and I've shot some videos of the install and various aspects of it. I'm going to post some of those on in some separate videos. But today I did the wiring, the string wiring, the final connections of it for it, and put it online, and I'm going to share that with you in this video. So I'll just show you what I did. I'm back at my array this morning, and I gotta tell you guys, it's a beautiful morning here in South Alabama. Beautiful place to live, though it gets pretty hot in the summer. I'm gonna try to take the opportunity today to finish the wiring on my panels on the array. I have to hook up my string circuits. I have 4 strings. I'm going to call them PV4A and B, and PV5A and PV5B, and this one's PV5A. 5B will be down there. It's important when you're doing this that you keep track of your wiring, because you got to have a complete circuit. If you get them mixed, if you get your strings mixed, your plus and minus mixed, it's just not going to work. So anyway, I'm going to have 4 strings. They'll combine in this box. Not in this box. This is just going to be a disconnect box, but over at the other box, which I'll show you, or I've already shown you, they'll combine in there into source circuits. And look who we got up here. Hey, Froggy. But anyway, we're fixing to put these MC4 connectors on. This is what comes with the panel. These are Hyundai panels. Look like they're pretty well built. This is plus, so it's pretty easy. It's identified. On the Z and Shine panels, they weren't marked. I had to measure the voltage, even though I probably could tell from the connectors. I measured the voltage to get the right polarity, and that's important too, because your panel aren't going to work if you get them wrong. But at any rate, I'm going to leave me a little loop in here like this. Put a couple of clamps on there, put this MC4 connector on, and then tidy it down. Sorry, I'm trying to do this. I can't see my phone, it's too close. When you put these connectors on, you need to make sure you put the right one on. This is the plus. The outside of this connector is male, and it will insert into the female portion of this MC connector. You see the little recesses right there. They'll plug in. I don't know if you can see that, like so. But you also have to put these little, crimp this onto your wire, and this is going to go up in the connector. But you got to make sure you use the right one, because this is a female. Right there you see it's a big hole. And inside here, I don't know if you can see it, but that's also a female. So a female and a female are not going to mix. They're not going to connect. See if I got the male up here. Now there's a male right there. It's smaller, so it's going to insert into the female. So the male plastic connector has a female metal connector. the male or the female plastic connector uses a male metal connector. So you got to make sure you do that properly, otherwise it's not going to mate up. Now my battery's almost dead. I don't know if this is coming out very well. It's something so close to the work. But let me get this wire prepped. I'll have to skin it back and I'll slide these on and see if I got enough battery to come in and show you how this connector actually goes together. Okay, I'm on the last connection for my string wiring. I already hooked everything else up. As far as the string wiring go, I still have the jumpers to put together. This is a negative, and a couple ways of telling. One, it says negative right there, and you probably can't see in there, but there's a male metal connector with a female plastic connector. So we're going to be using a male plastic with a female metal. So let me get it in place and I'll figure out how I'm going to shoot a little video how I'm going to crimp this wire on this connector on this wire. Here's a little tidbit, make your wiring a whole lot easier. If you'll mark your wires when you pull them in, it'll make it a whole lot easier to stay straight when you're going to make everything up. This is the negative for my string 5B, and I'll explain those strings to you in a minute. But always make sure you know which wire you have, otherwise you're going to have a mess when you try to figure it out later. It can be done, but it takes a lot more knowledge and skill to do it. This is a whole lot easier if you keep everything straight from the beginning. Now this is a special tool for putting these type of connectors on. And you have to put them in the proper way for it to work. I don't know if you can see there's a little U-shape on the connector, and it has to go up into that little curved area because it's going to bend that wire over, or that clamp over onto the wire. Let's see, I don't know if I can put it on there with one hand or not. Let's see. Okay, it's on there. Let's check it out. All right, that looks like a pretty good crimp. Now I'm going to pull on it once I get this off camera to make sure it's on there good. And don't be afraid to pull on it, because if it'll come off with you pulling, it's a bad connection and you just have to redo it. Now, this tool will do different size wire and connectors. It says 2.5, 4, and 6 millimeters. Now I've got number 10 wire here, which is equivalent to the metric 6 millimeters. So that's the reason I'm using the 6 millimeter crimp. And it's important to use the right one. You don't want to use one too small or too big. If you use it too big, your connection is going to become probably not going to be tight enough. If you use it the crimp that's too small, it may very well damage the connector in the strands, and that will be just as bad as having a loose connection. I'm gonna have to have two hands to do this. I don't know why this won't focus on here. But this piece right here is gonna slide right over the end of this. And then it's gonna snap in place. And then I'll have to tighten this down right here. On the inside, there's a little rubber grommet. And then also, I'll show you. There's a piece right there that's going to squeeze that grommet down onto that wire. And that's going to make a watertight connection. So let me borrow my other hand so I can do it. Now when you put this connector together, you have the male and the female, and they're going to slide together and snap, but you got to push it in far enough. You'll hear it click, but you see that little red rubber ring? That's what's going to seal the water out. So you got to make sure that you don't see any of that ring left when you snap this together. Now I'm going to have to use two hands to do it. I'm going to try it with one hand, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to have two. Yep, I'm going to borrow my hand again. There you go. See, it snapped together right here. There's no gap. There's no red. So I got a watertight seal here. Now all I got to do is pin this up, and the string wiring will be finished. Then I just got to snap all these jumpers together, and the wiring on this array will be complete. When you're putting these connectors together, just keep in mind these panels are in the sun, so they have voltage on them. You really don't have to worry about getting shocked because everything is recessed. So as long as you don't go sticking your finger in there or doing something crazy, you should be good. Now, I've got 4 strings that's going to be in this array. 2 strings of 7 panels and 2 strings of 6 panels. So
here's what I found.
Yeah, well, Siri's decided to get into the conversation. But at any rate, the open circuit voltage is roughly 49. We'll just round it up to 50. So when all these panels, all these are in, there's going to be 350 volts on the 7-string panels and 300 volts on the 6-string panels. But you really don't have to worry about that because they're not hooked up in the, the breakers are turned off. So we're not picking up any load. It won't be breaking any load. And we're not going to put our fingers into these recessed
Sorry, I can't
ports. So at any rate, Siri. Anyway, it's
I don't have an answer for that. Is there something else I can help with?
Well, no, baby. I don't need any other help. Except I need another set of hands. All right, let me get busy. All right, I've got all the string wiring completed on the panel. All the interconnections done, the jumpers. So we have a voltage on the line side of these disconnects. It's a little overcast. Let's see what kind of voltage we got. String 4A, 299. String 4B, 300. This ought to be something less. 5A, which is 6 panels, 256. And 5B, 256. Okay, that's good. I'm going to walk over here to this combiner box and let's just double check, make sure everything's in the clear. before I turn these string breakers on. Okay, I've got to put the fuses in. But other than that, I think she's ready to go. Let me do that. Okay, I got the fuses in on the combiner box. This is just a disconnect box here. So let's turn the strings on and let's see what happens. Okay, they're on. I didn't hear any bang. That's normally a good sign. Let's go over here. All right. Turn this breaker on. This is going to energize the surge suppressors and send the power to my power building. Disconnects. Okay, no more bangs, no trip breakers. Another good sign. And the surge protectors came on. Alright, let's ride over to the solar power building. Here are the source circuits for the new array. I'm going to call it PV source circuit 5 and 4 and 5. And I went ahead and landed them in my inverter, Solar inverter number 2, because I had 2 MPPT slots available. On number 1, I only had 1 slot available, so I just brought both of them over here. So that's PV 3, 4, and 5. So there'll be more panels on my slave inverter than on my master, but I think that'll be okay. These are the ferrites right here for the new ones. This was for the existing one, and then I had some for the power and the batteries. So this is not an EMP hardened inverter, so I'm trying to make it as hardened as I can with what I have. We'll see. Maybe we won't need it. Now, let's move on to something else. Well, we have voltage on SPD 4 and 5. That's going to be the source circuit from that second array. This right here, I put a 120 volt circuit to go out there for a convenience plug. So that's the 2 that we just energized, so it's got voltage on it. Step into the room. It's a little noisy because my AC is out and I'm having to run this fan to keep it cool, so it's a little messy in here. Got solar assistant pulled up. This source circuit 4 and 5 is going to go on inverter number 2. So let's turn them on and see what happens. Okay, PV6, there's nothing hooked up to it. This other single breaker, that's the 120 breaker going out there. Okay, what it's putting out. Now there's not much power requirements. It's a 10,000 watt array, and right now between MPPT 2 and 3, which is my source circuit 4 and 5, it's only putting out about, I don't know, 2,500 watts. But the reason for that is my battery's at 100%. So all it's doing is putting, supplying the load, and the load's just not there right now. But we're online and they're working. Let's see what this one says. 4,000 watts, roughly. The master says 2.6, which would be about right, because this is now a bigger, there's more TV going in number 2 than there is 1. I have to modify my drawing sketch to pick up TV 4 and 5. But I'm going to call this project complete, other than cleaning up and tidying up a little bit. Oh, there's one other thing I got to do out there, and we'll talk about it later. My voice is getting hoarse. Anyway, enjoy your weekend.